The savanna goes quiet before you expect it to. Not gradually, not as the sun sets and the light fades and the birds stop one by one. It goes quiet all at once, like something flipped a switch. And if you are sitting outside your tent in the Masai Mara, watching the last orange strip of sky disappear behind the acacia line, you might think that quiet means empty. You might think the day is simply over, that the animals have settled, that the wild is resting. It is not. What you are sitting inside right now is not silence. It is a system, a living, breathing, constantly updating network of signals, decisions, and movement that has been running every single night for millions of years. And most people who come here never realize they are standing inside it. Welcome back to African Wild Mind. If you are new here, subscribe now, because what you are about to hear will change the way you look at every nature documentary, every wildlife photograph, and every quiet African night you have ever imagined. Stay until the end, because the final revelation is the one most people never see coming. The first thing that changes at nightfall is not what you can see, it is what you can hear, or more precisely, what you cannot. That sudden quiet you felt a moment ago, the one that felt like the world exhaling. It is not the absence of communication. It is the shift from one language to another. During the day, the savanna runs on visual signals, posture, color, movement, the flick of a tail, the angle of a head. But when the light goes, that language becomes unreliable, and something older takes over. Sound, scent, vibration, the kind of information that travels through grass and soil and air without needing a single photon of light. If you were standing at the edge of a waterhole in Kruger right now, in the hour after sunset, you would hear the insects first. A wall of sound so thick it feels physical. And beneath that, if you listen carefully, something else. A low, almost inaudible rumble. Not thunder, not wind. Something closer. African elephants communicate using infrasound. Frequencies so low the human ear cannot fully register them. You do not hear them so much as feel them. A faint pressure in the chest. A vibration in the ground beneath your feet. And what those sounds carry is not random noise. Research from the Amboseli Elephant Research Project in Kenya has documented that elephants use these low-frequency calls to coordinate movement across distances that would make a human shout useless. A matriarch on one side of a valley can signal to family members on the other side, and they respond, not randomly. With specific behavioral changes, they turn, they slow, they wait. What looks like a herd drifting through the dark is actually a group in constant conversation, moving together not by instinct alone, but by decision, by communication, by trust. The waterhole is where the night becomes most honest. In the dry season, every large animal within a wide radius needs to drink, and they all know it, which means the waterhole at night is not just a place to drink. It is a negotiation, a schedule, an invisible agreement between species that would otherwise never share the same ground. If you watched a waterhole through thermal imaging from dusk to dawn, you would see something that looks almost choreographed. The elephants arrive first, in the early evening, while there is still enough ambient light to feel safe. They drink slowly. They are not relaxed. Their ears are moving constantly, scanning. The matriarch faces outward while the younger animals drink. She is not drinking. She is listening. When they leave, there is a pause, a gap in the schedule, and then the Cape buffalo arrive. Heavy, dense, moving in a mass that signals its own kind of safety. A single Cape buffalo is dangerous. A herd of Cape buffalo is a different calculation entirely for any predator watching from the tree line. They drink in turns, the outer animals always facing out, and then they leave. And then, the pause again. That pause is not empty. That pause is assessment. Somewhere in the dark, animals are reading the waterhole before they approach it, smelling the air, reading the tracks in the mud from the animals that came before. A zebra approaching a waterhole at midnight is not walking forward blindly. It is reading a story written in footprints and scent, and the behavior of the birds that roost nearby. If the oxpeckers are still, if the impala on the far bank have their heads down, if the air smells only of water and mud and not of something warm and close and breathing, then it is probably safe. Probably. The leopard has been in that tree for 2 hours. You walked past it. You did not see it. Almost no one does. A leopard at rest in an acacia at night is one of the most perfectly invisible things in Africa. The rosette pattern on its coat does not just break up its outline. It mimics the exact way moonlight falls through leaves. Patches of pale, patches of dark, movement that looks like wind, not muscle. But the leopard is not resting. Its eyes are open. Its tail moves once, slowly, at the tip, and it is watching the waterhole below with a patience that most humans cannot physically sustain. Field researchers observing leopards in the Sabi Sand Reserve have documented individual animals waiting in elevated positions for hours before making any movement toward prey. Not because they are lazy, because timing is everything. A leopard that moves too early loses the advantage of surprise. A leopard that moves too late loses the window entirely. What looks like stillness is actually a continuous calculation. Every animal that passes below is being assessed. Size, direction, speed, isolation. Is that impala alone? Is it limping? Is it moving away from the herd or toward it? Is the wind carrying the leopard's scent toward the waterhole or away from it? Every second of that stillness is a question being answered. And when the leopard finally moves, it will not look like a decision. It will look like gravity, like something inevitable. But it was not inevitable. It was chosen, carefully. After a long time of watching something most people would call nothing. A few miles from that waterhole, the spotted hyenas are already moving. And this is where most people's understanding of the night completely breaks down. Because the hyena is one of the most misunderstood animals in Africa. You probably picture them as scavengers, skulking at the edge of a lion's kill, waiting, opportunistic, cowardly even. That image is almost entirely wrong. Spotted hyenas are among the most socially sophisticated predators on the continent. Their clans, which can include dozens of individuals, operate with a level of social complexity that researchers have spent decades trying to fully map. The Mara Hyena Project, which has tracked individual animals and their relationships in the Masai Mara over many years, has documented that hyenas recognize each other not just by sight or smell, but by voice. Each individual has a distinct whoop, and clan members can identify specific individuals from those calls alone. At night, those calls are not just location signals. They carry information about the caller's identity, their rank within the clan, and, in some cases, whether they have found food. When you hear a hyena calling at 2 a.m. and you pull your sleeping bag a little tighter, you are not hearing chaos. You are hearing a conversation. A specific message sent by a specific individual to a specific group. And somewhere in the dark, other hyenas are already changing direction in response. Not randomly, with purpose. The lions are doing something that surprises almost everyone who learns about it. They are sleeping. Genuinely, deeply sleeping. Lions sleep more than almost any large predator on the savanna, up to 20 hours in a 24-hour period during certain seasons. And yet the night belongs to them in a way it belongs to almost nothing else. Because the hours they are awake at night are not wasted. They are precise. A lion pride does not simply wake up and begin hunting. The process is more deliberate than that. The females begin to move first. Not all of them, usually 2 or 3. They separate slightly from the group, moving in different directions, reading the wind. This is reconnaissance. They are not hunting yet. They are gathering information. Where are the prey animals tonight? Which direction are the wildebeest moving? Is there a herd of zebra near the Lugga to the east? What does the air say about where the buffalo are drinking? Only after that information has been gathered does the group begin to coordinate. And the coordination is not random. Lionesses hunting together use positional strategies that researchers have described as role-based. Some individuals consistently take the center position, driving prey toward the flanks. Others consistently take the wing positions, cutting off escape routes. These roles are not assigned in the moment. They appear to be learned, remembered, and repeated across hunts. A lioness who has hunted with the same females for years knows where each one will be without looking. That knowledge is not instinct. It is experience. It is memory. It is something that looks, from a distance, a great deal like teamwork. But the strangest part of the African night is not the predators. It is what the prey animals are doing while the predators move. Because the impala, the zebra, the wildebeest, they are not simply waiting to be found. They are reading the night as carefully as anything hunting them. And the system they use is one of the most elegant pieces of collective intelligence in the natural world. Different species standing together, watching different things. The impala have extraordinary hearing. The zebra have wide-angle vision that works well in low light. The wildebeest have a sense of smell that can detect a predator from a significant distance downwind. When these animals graze together at night, they are not simply sharing space. They are sharing senses. A sound the impala catches first. A movement the zebra sees first. A scent the wildebeest reads first. And the alarm signal, when it comes, is not species-specific. A zebra's bark carries meaning for the impala beside it. An impala's snort carries meaning for the wildebeest 20 meters away. Field researchers working in the Serengeti have observed that mixed herds respond to alarm signals from other species faster than single-species groups respond to their own. The system works better when it is mixed, not because the animals decided to cooperate, but because over millions of years, the ones who paid attention to their neighbors survived, and the ones who did not, did not. What you are looking at when you see a mixed herd grazing at night is not a random gathering of animals near the same grass. It is a distributed early warning system, each animal contributing something the others cannot provide, each one trusting the others with the part of the night they cannot see. And then there is the elephant. And this is the part that changes everything. The matriarch of an elephant family is typically the oldest female. She may be 50, 60 years old. She has walked this landscape for decades. And what she carries in her memory is not just the location of water sources and migration routes. It is a map of danger. Research from the Amboseli Elephant Research Project has shown that older matriarchs respond differently to threats than younger ones. When researchers played recordings of lion roars to elephant families, the older matriarchs bunched their families together faster, moved them more decisively, and chose safer directions more consistently than younger females leading groups. But the detail that stops you is this. The older matriarchs responded more strongly to the roars of male lions than female lions, because male lions are more dangerous to elephants than females. And the matriarchs knew the difference, not because they were told, because they had heard that sound before, because they had survived before, because somewhere in that vast ancient memory, the sound of a male lion at night is not just a sound. It is a specific kind of danger, a specific kind of fear, a specific kind of decision. When that matriarch moves her family in the dark, she is not reacting, she is remembering. She is drawing on 50 years of nights exactly like this one. And every elephant behind her is trusting that memory with their life. That is not instinct. That is wisdom, carried in one body, passed forward through behavior, through the way she moves, through the direction she chooses, through the speed of her decision in the moment when speed is everything. The youngest calves in that family will grow up learning from her, not from genetics alone, from watching, from surviving the same nights she survived, with her memory as their guide. And when she is gone, the family will be more vulnerable. Not because they lost a leader, because they lost a library. By the time the sky begins to lighten, the night has already written its record. Not in any language you can read directly, but it is there. Tracks pressed into the mud at the Waterhole edge. A pattern of prints that tells you who came, in what order, and how long they stayed. A tuft of fur caught on a low branch where something moved fast through the dark. A scent mark on a termite mound that was not there yesterday. A patch of flattened grass where a leopard lay for hours, watching. The evidence of the whole night, laid out in the dust and the dew and the bent stems of grass. If you walked out there at sunrise, you would see all of it, but you would not know what it meant. You would see tracks, not a schedule. You would see a flattened patch of grass, not a calculation. You would see a scent mark, not a message. The night does not announce itself. It does not explain. It simply happens, in full, every single night, whether anyone is watching or not. And that is the thing that stays with you. Not the predators, not the hunts, not the danger. It is the realization that this has been happening every night for longer than our species has existed. That while we built cities and wrote histories and decided what was important, this other world was running its own systems, its own memory, its own language, its own intelligence, quietly, completely, in the dark. The branch outside your tent is not just a branch. The silence that woke you at 3 a.m. was not silence. The tracks you saw at breakfast were not random. They were the last visible line of a story that started at sunset and ended before you opened your eyes. And somewhere out there, right now, the matriarch is still walking, still remembering, still carrying every night she has ever survived, still choosing the direction that keeps her family alive. If you have ever stood in Africa at night and felt that the dark was watching you back, you were not imagining it. You were just finally paying attention. What moment from tonight's journey stayed with you the longest? Thank you for watching. If this story made the wild feel a little less silent, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share it with someone who loves animals, nature, and the hidden side of the wild. You can also follow us on X, Facebook, and Instagram. Links are in the description. There, we'll share short wildlife stories, strange animal facts, visual moments from the wild, and updates when new episodes are released. Until the next one, keep watching closely. The wild is always saying more than it seems.